Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Again, let me know if you're able to hear me okay. All right, but Nate, do I sound clear? I'll try to crank it up a little bit. Okay, how about now? Is this better? All right, awesome. All right, guys, here we go. So today we have Jolt's job openings at 10 a.m. So we may not be, the session won't be long enough till that time to try to catch whatever move, whatever move news happens to, make the markets move in. But we do have some setups, so let's take a look at what we got. Okay, so starting with the dollar. Okay, as it stands right now, the dollar looks like it's going to continue falling right now. All right, just broke a demand level. All right, so we should expect some sort of pullback, all right, to this resistance area. I'm sorry, this supply right here. This is our last candle before the impulsive move down that broke the demand. All right, so just so you guys know, these yellow lines, right here and right here, is just from the end of last week to the end of this week. So everything dealing with price is going to happen within, these two yellow lines for this week. All right. But here, again, I'm expecting sort of a push up and then a push down to this demand level because there's plenty of imbalance as well as a nice order block that has not been mitigated. Now, we do have a bit of a equal high in this area, okay, as well as a bit of imbalance right there. All right, so there, it is possible that we'll push up, sweep these equal highs, tap into the supply area here, okay, and then fall. All right, that's most likely to happen, especially with news, because it wants to manipulate before it actually does the move. All right, so we can kind of expect a push up on the dollar first and then the push down. All right, but let's see, how things go for the time being. But please understand this most likely will happen after 10 a.m. All right. All right, let's go take a look at our majors. Okay, well, here's the JPY doing exactly what I told you guys it would during the weekly watch list. All right, so it broke out a consolidation and immediately took off to the upside. So all of the JPY pairs fell exactly as expected. And so if you, took advantage of that, that was just easy money. All right, and kind of showing you guys the J's really quick. All right, here they are. All right, this is AJ. It didn't take a massive dip, but it did drop a little bit. And then here on CAD JPY, it did a massive drop. All right, we're talking 118 pips in pretty much 24 hours. All right, for CHF JPY, again, my team was eyeballing this since last week because we knew it was supposed to drop, but it was delayed. And there's 187 pips in a day. All right, EJ, right, one of our favorites. This one also 128 pips since yesterday. And last but not least, GJ, all right, everybody's favorite, right from the top. We got a nice drop of 158 pips. All right, so guys, if you just take a look at the watch list before the week begins, there's a good chance you can really take advantage of what's been broken down. All right, but here we are. All right. Yep, I agree with Nate. GJ is the play. All right. So here on odd dollar, you guys can see that the dollar fell. So let's do it like this. Okay. With the dollar, here's Sunday, right? Right out the gate, I expected it to go up first to supply, then drop, but it just dropped, without going up. So, that happens, right? But ultimately, I knew it was coming down, and this is what we got so far. And this actually is now a bit of a resistance area, okay? Okay, but dollar going down, so the odd dollar went up right out the gate. And as you can see, with the dollar breaking this support level and now becoming resistance, the odd dollar broke this resistance level, which is now going to make this support. Okay, so you can see that we're most likely going to reach the top of this resistance level before we get some kind of push to the downside. All right, now I do like the dollar to still rise, okay, but it's going to do another drop first. Okay, like I mentioned, demand with plenty of imbalance, again another demand with imbalance, so we may get all the way to this demand level before rising, right? Or we may get to this one and then rise, right? Time will tell, all right, especially around the 10 o'clock time frame. But for now, this is the outlook. So you got to be careful. Like, don't try to do anything exactly at 10 o'clock, right? Because we want to see the manipulation. Which way is it going to manipulate first, right? Is it going to push up, sweep the equal highs, and tap into this fair value gap in supply and then drop? Or is it going to drop first, right, to these demand areas, play around, and then rise, all right? Whichever one, like if let's say we sweep the highs and then we tap into supply, then everybody should start looking for the drop, right? So that's where you want to buy, up to this level of supply on at least the odd dollar or the non-dollar based pairs, so euro dollar, New Zealand dollar, pound dollar, etc. All right, but that's if it pushes up, manipulates, and then we start seeing rejection around this area. That's where you want to start to sell. But if you don't, if we don't get that and it just drops, right, we may miss out on the move up. All right, so that's okay, right? We don't have to chase. Again, if we didn't get in from the low for the buy, we definitely don't want to buy high, right? We want to buy low and we want to sell high. So again, easy thing to correct to see improvement in your trading. All right, but you got to be patient and wait for those things to happen. All right, so it will be pretty much a waiting game this morning. I'm just trying to let you guys see the potentiality, all right, on what we got set up and what's actually ready to go. All right. So just one more time, recapping. When news comes, we may sweep the highs, tap into this fair value gap, and then drop. All right. You may have some buying opportunities on the non-dollar based pairs, but we may also just drop quickly to these demand areas, which again will cause the non-dollar based pairs to rise to their closest level of supply or resistance. And then from there, guys, if we get price to respect these demand areas and start to rise, it'll be a great opportunity to sell. All right. So that's what we're looking for. So going over to euro dollar, and pretty much at this time we're going to see which one has the best setup and is ready to go. All right. So again, expected euro dollar to rise, right? But I thought it was going to come down to demand, but it already did last week. So it just right out the gate started rising. And again, I can see it pushing up more, right, to this area. So you can kind of already tell that the dollar is most likely going to fall, all right, so that euro can get up to the supply level, and then we'll be looking to take it short with a position like this, okay? All right, that's 154 pips for just a 25 pip stop loss, guys. It does not get any better than that. All right, so again, just wait for news, right? If it comes out bad, that means the dollar will fall, right? That means the euro will rise. But if the dollar falls, it's most likely just going to get to these areas, all right, before it starts to rise. So 10 o'clock hits, bad news, we get the drop, all right, and after maybe 11, 11:30, maybe even 12, we'll start to see the dollar start to rise. And if we do, then we definitely want to be taking our selling opportunities, because when we really look at the bigger picture on Euro USD, this is a rising rising channel, all right, that is a bearish reversal pattern. So we already swept the high of the channel and we swept the low, but in that process, we broke lows, okay? So that's already, you can already see the highs are getting lower and lower, and then eventually, we'll have another one here when we reach here for news, and then we'll go to start taking the lows. All right, Nick, thank you, appreciate that. And again, if you got any questions about anything, please feel free to let me know so we can break it down. You can get a better understanding of what's going on and what you're doing, so that you can make easy money. I want to point out that a lot of people, especially the rookies and newbies, right, they don't understand that they don't need to trade a lot, right? And all you need is one trade to set you right. If more people came in with that mindset, right, it'll be a better world, right, for them. But unfortunately, you don't learn that right away, okay? You get burnt and then you learn, right? So I'm just trying to help you guys not get burnt so quickly. So much rather, to where you're hearing me and you're like, okay, so all I need is one trade. All right, cool, right? And then, well, how do I know what's the best one to get into, right? How do I know when a setup looks good? How do I know when it's ready, right? All of those things is what I teach, right? So make sure, you pay attention to what I'm saying, this morning, but as well as, tap in with me in the Discord to, get those lessons personally, all right? And I promise you, things will change so quickly, it'll make your head spin, all right? But again, appreciate the love, guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, all right? And share it with a friend. Anybody you guys know who have been talking about Forex, talking about trading, maybe they're confused, and maybe they're frustrated because they really haven't been able to find a good resource, right? Tell them about me, all right? And let them know their worries are over with. What up, Bain? I'm bearish on NAS 100. I'm in at 24,580, waiting for a swing NFP on the fall Friday. Hey, listen, we are 10 steps ahead of you, man. Now we in the same bias, Mr. Johnson. And again, man, shout out to you for all the love that you've shown. Best believe I didn't forget about you. Yeah, let's take a look at NAS real quick, man. But I am definitely bearish on NAS. All right, and here it is. Okay, so number one, this major rising channel. All right, eventually, guys, we will go to take every low of this channel. Right, it may take some time, but it's just what it is. So 20 days, right, and it went over 1,600 points. Okay, so Jared, your entry you mentioned. Let's take a look. Is 24580. All right, so you got in right here. So again, not bad at all. All right, you are down a little bit at the moment, but again, what I'm expecting is the dollar to fall, which will push NAS up a little bit if we're just talking correlation. Again, correlation isn't always what we want to go by, right? Market structure is king. But when the dollar falls, we're going to see a bit of a push up, possibly, okay? It's never a guarantee, but let's get lower to see. All right, yeah, so we got plenty of imbalance in this area here. So let's just clean up the charts a little bit because we got past this supply, and this supply was still taken care of as well. So now we can kind of get in here and see where did we get that impulsive move right before we got the drop. And here is one area right here. Okay, and right below that, guys, what you're seeing is imbalance. Okay, right there. All right. And again, guys, for those who don't know, imbalance is just a gap in price. All right, where you have three candles that do not share the same price. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, they're not sharing the same price, thus creating a gap. Also letting you know that there were more sellers, all right, in the market at this price point than there were buyers. All right, so that made it unbalanced. Okay, the buyers didn't get a chance to do, to get their orders filled, pretty much. All right, so most would look at that as unfair, right, if you were trying to buy. So ironically enough, we call it a fair value gap, even though it's unfair. And the reason why I'm guessing they call it fair value is because at some point we will come back to these areas to make it fair for the buyers to fill their orders. All right, guys, that's how that goes. So now okay? And because we have these gaps, price most likely will get up in this area, right? We don't know how far, right? We do have tools that we can use to try to, have a good prediction on that, right? But honestly, it's like a Tootsie Pop, right? The world may never know, right? How many licks it'll take, or how far to go. And then plus, there's situations where it just blasts right through all of this, right? We can't win them all. The market is unpredictable and does what it wants to do, but you just have to line yourself up to take advantage of what it is showing you currently. All right, so when we look left, we see some equal highs right here, another form of liquidity. Okay, and we also see just a little bit of a supply level right here. Okay, again, another candle before the push. We see a push down that ends up breaking this low right here. All right, so that gave us another break of structure to the downside. All right, it started right off of this push down here. Right, we broke this low. Right, so that's where the change began. All right, then we consolidated, and then we got another push down, breaking this low. So what that's telling you guys is that if we're breaking lows, price wants to go lower. Okay, so you don't just sell it when it breaks, because what happens, it pulls back. All right, your opportunity to sell was from this area to go and push it down, selling high. Right, we don't sell low. So again, now we're looking for these high places that we can potentially sell from. Okay, and we will find them. Okay, just uno momento. All right, here is that supply area. Okay, so you got your stop loss above this high, and that's perfect. All right, so your position pretty much looks like this. All right, stop above the high, and I'm going to assume you're easily going for a 1 to 2. Right, that's 370 points on the take profit, and you're risking 182 roughly. All right, but you can still, and this goes for everyone else, we can still put a new position in, right? Because we've already kind of gotten, a bias on what we expect to happen, which is for price to go lower, right? And what you guys will start to understand over time is that before price does what you expect it to do, it's going to do the opposite. Okay, and that's just the name of the game. That's how they get everyone, and that's how they make it feel like it's impossible to succeed, because you just don't understand the manipulation on how they get everyone. All right, so with that, right, even though we're at a nice supply area right here, this could be a nice position, right, where you take it here and you have your stops just about there, but being careful of the potential sweep of these highs, right, because it can respect this and just drop, right? So right now it's looking good for Jared because it's coming back down, so it's giving him a chance to get back in profit. All right, and it very well may just keep dropping. We don't know. All right, but that's not our job, right? We're not supposed to know it all, right? We're just supposed to be able to read what we see and understand the possibility, right? What's the probability, right? Is this more likely to go up, more likely to go down, right? The way that you get that answer is by understanding market structure. If the structure is telling you that it's going down, well, then you have a higher probability of it going down. It's that simple. And vice versa, if the structure is telling you that it's up, well, then you have a higher probability of price going up. Now, yes, there's factors or things that factor into, market structure, which is economic news, right? And economic factors, right? Things can happen in a blink of an eye and cause, the market will react to it, all right? But in terms of, which one is more concrete, then that'll be market structure, all right? News does come every once in a blue moon, right? Well, actually pretty often nowadays, but regardless, when there is no news, right, we're going by structure, right? When there is news, we're still going by structure, but we're understanding that there's a possibility that things can get heavily manipulated before it goes in our favor, all right? But the way that I would play NAS this morning, right, is I'll be looking for the dollar to fall. I'll be looking for NAS to rise higher into this supply area. So then I'll take my position and I'll place it here right at the beginning of the supply area, even though I know it may go a little deeper, right? But I want to catch it right at the beginning, all right, and place my stop above the high. So I'm only risking 60 points on NAS. That's ridiculous, right? If you know anything about trading the indices, this is, pretty much getting away with murder, right? This is like 50, 60 pips on a regular pair, and that normally just doesn't happen, right? But if you know what you're doing, you can get away with things like this. And then again, you can even have a position where it's a bit higher in the middle of the supply area, and now you're only risking 38 points. Okay, this is an ideal setup or trade. And then look, we haven't even gotten to any higher time frame. We're just on the 15-minute, and we're already 122 points for a take profit, giving us a 1 to 3, right? But what do we want to do? You guessed it. We're going to go out to a higher time frame. Okay, and now we get to see where those swings are. Okay, and those swings are in this area. So guys, if I place this coming all the way down, right, I now have a risk to reward of 1 to 11, and I'm looking to make 432 points to the downside. And again, news can always be a catalyst, right, to making this happen sooner than later. All right, but that's what I'll be looking for. Okay, so just really good opportunity, guys, on these indices if you know how to play it. All right, so again, something else that you guys can do is just buy it now, right? You can buy it because it is low, and then you can just take it up to these areas and then turn right back around and sell it on down. Okay, so if you have a demo account, right, you can try that. Okay, look at how price reacted to the supply area, right? These are the things that again help us to take advantage of the market, right? Seeing is believing, right? Saying, oh, it did respect that area and then it turned around, right? Or it did go and fill that imbalance and then it turned around, right? Once you see that enough, you believe, and then once you believe, then you start taking your chances. Once you start taking your chances, you start making money. Once you start making money, right, you're a happy camper, right? And everything else, turns around. All right, get the bills paid, not have to worry too much about, certain things financial wise, and really start to feel good that you can, you have something that you can go to pull out money, whenever you pretty much feel like it. All right, but that's what we're looking at on NAS. All right, so hopefully that clears things up a bit. Again, Jared, right, you might catch a lucky drop here, right? It may just go kaboom and forget about the imbalance, right? Because it doesn't have to go there, right? It's just we need to be mindful of it, and that's exactly why you have your stops above the high, right? Because if it does happen to do that, well, you're covered. Well, guess what? Let's say it doesn't, and then it starts breaking below this low. Well, now you can take away all the risks that you initially put by having your stop way above here. So what you'll do, right, your position was here. So now price comes down, breaks below this low, and you take your stop loss and go kaboom, right? You just place it basically, right here somewhere, right? And now you've locked in all of this profit, right? Whatever that may happen to be, and you're just letting the trade play out, for the rest of the day. And if it continues falling, well, congratulations, right? You just got away with, minimizing your risk and getting a good trade in on a major indice that pays. Okay, guys, a standard lot on NAS or US30 can set you up for life. All right, and I'm talking, hundreds, tens of thousands, up to hundreds of thousands. All right, but yeah, I like it for the drop, but I will be watching out for the manipulation to the top before we get the drop. All right, And let's go ahead and take a look at the other indices. All right, but again, guys, very, very beautiful setup. You see, this was the highest we got on the high. Then it started getting lower, right? It started getting lower. Now we pulled above these, right? So that tells us, hey, potential that we want to go higher, right? And that's why I'm looking at price, again, getting into this area, maybe even sweeping this high, right? You never know, right? But it might even sweep this high, play around a little bit above it, and then we get the major drop. All right, it loves to do that, so be mindful of that. And again, guys, it's more than one way to take advantage, right? You can kind of buy it now, see what you can get out of the move up, right? And then once we get up in these areas, look to turn around and sell it. All right, that's how you take advantage of both sides. All right, but here's US 30. Right, and just, the markups are always, what tells the story, right? So my position was here, and then look, price right from the beginning of the week, price went right there to the middle of that fair value gap, put me in, and then from there it dropped pretty much 384 points, and I'm talking right out the gate, right? So that's, that's nice. Right, but look at the rising channel that we have. We broke out of it, breaking the low, so that tells us we want to go lower. All of this was the pullback. Then we went right to the fair value gap, right? Made it fair for everyone. Then we got our bearish engulfing candle. Now we're consolidating, right within this fair value gap now. So now we can just kind of come on and bring this over like this. All right, and that is our current fair value gap. And we're respecting that. So again, we may push up a little bit, right? But everything to the top has already been taken care of. So this is looking like we may want to, sell from here, right? You can place your stop right above the FVG, or if you're feeling like it may push up more, because these do kind of seem like equal highs a little bit. So we may have liquidity sitting in this area to where price may push up, sweep that liquidity, and then go ahead and push down. All right, so watch out for that, right? In a way that you can, again, this is all, being able to read and foresee the possibility. So even if you think that's something that can happen and you don't want to risk this much, well, cool. Put a sell limit at this area and then place your stop a little bit higher. Not only does that, get you in at a premium, right, because you're selling high, right, but it gets you a better risk to reward, right, and it takes you out of the manipulation, right? You want it to go down, but it's going to go up, right, before it goes down, versus if you're selling right here and that manipulation is still a possibility, well, it's going to go up first, right? And this is where people freak out. They get scared. They think they're going to lose the trade. They don't know it's just manipulation. So when price reaches up here, they're like, oh, man, it's going to blow my account. So let me get out. They close the trade, and you know exactly what happens next, right? Price tanks, okay? So again, guys, looking for some potential of the Dow, US 30 rising as the dollar falls, right? And then from there, just give it a little bit of time for the dust to settle so that you can see bearish pressure coming in. If you see that, especially if you get something like this, a bearish engulfing candle, right, but you get it up in this area, guys, place that sell order, put your stop above the high, and, just, get ready to cry, okay? Because you're looking at almost 2,000 points on US 30. Right now, granted, we do have a heavy stop right here, but that's still 692 points. Okay, ridiculous. Okay, but what I'm looking for is for it to get to that low. All right, and again, almost 2,000 points on US 30, guys. So I'm just going to set it right now. All right, so sell limit here. All right. All right. Oh well, I was already in. All right, but sell limit still right here and up to here. All right, take profit all the way downtown. Right? We may want to give this just a little more wiggle room because we know how it goes. All right. But there is a play on US 30, guys. I'll throw it in the chat. Again, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me. Appreciate that love. All right. This is US 30. This is a sell limit. All right. Your entry price is going to be 46455. Okay, your stop loss is going to be 46652. Okay, and that is 196 points. Okay, take profit. It's going to be 44607, and that is for 1,847 points. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, guys. All right, and we'll take a look at SPY. And if you guys notice, they all have similar setups. Okay, so you take one, you can pretty much take them all. It's not all the time, but in this case, you have a good chance. All right, I see the imbalance here that was met. All right, and we're starting to slowly push down. So we may not get another push up on SPY, but at the same token, guys, you know, I'm going to take it into consideration regardless. Okay, and let's see. All right, so we cleared this area. We cleared this one. All right, so more here on our supply. So yeah, guys, I mean, I can see it, you know, once we got this double bottom over here, right, we pushed up, we eventually broke above these highs, making a new high, pull back, rose up again, and all of this is the pullback, right? So this may be a little bit of a demand area here to where we now start to rise up to that supply, sweeping the liquidity here that sits right below the supply, and then from there we get the drop on SPY, guys. So you know, like I'm mentioning, we can, you know, because we know that, we can take a buy, you know, position like this, right, and just try to, you know, get somewhere below the wicks, take it up to supply, and we're catching 36 points on SPY. Then from there, right, we just turn right back around, get in a sell position, right, maybe place it a little bit deeper, right, just because, again, we got equal highs here, so that might get swept before the drop. So what you guys will notice from what I'm saying, hopefully, is that there's this thing where you guys have to be able to visualize, you know, where money's sitting, right, where liquidity's sitting. You know, most people don't really understand liquidity. Again, get with me and I'll help explain, you know, how that all is and what that's all about. But if you can start to spot where the money is, then you can have a better understanding of where price most likely is going to get to before, you know, it does what you expect it to do. All right, or you can just, you know, take it up to that place, right? So again, we can take that buy and definitely get this to play out for 47 points. All right, and then we turn around, right, and maybe we get in at that same high where it's swept, right, or maybe a little above it. All right, and then when we bring it back down to demand, now we're catching 117. So you do the math, right? 117 plus 47, right? You're pretty much almost close to 200 points on SPY for the day, right? And you went both ways. And when you do that, you will feel special. All right, you'll feel like, man, this is my, you know, this is my world, right? But it is. you guys just have to, put in the work, right? And be patient. Stop being greedy. Stop over leveraging. Have a game plan, right? These are the things that will really get you to see a difference, okay? I talk to my team all the time, and I let them know, like, we're not just, going to be talking about stuff, right? We're going to be doing it and seeing, that is for real, okay? So hopefully you guys do the same, and, things will absolutely change, right? So possibilities on SPY, just gave it to you guys, all right? We'll go back to the majors, see what we got. So again, looking for the drop on euro from the top. Pound dollar already at a level of supply, right? So we may get a drop there. But again, I see a lot of imbalance to the upside. So we may, we may get there, but it's looking pretty decent right now, just for the drop. So it's very, tough decision to make on how you want to go about it. But, you got to make a decision, okay? So if you pretty much take a short position here and put your stop there, you'll be aiming for the low. That's already 92 pips to the downside, all right, for GU. But we know that the dollar is going to fall, and typically GU will rise, right, if the dollar does that. And then, once the dollar begins to rise, then GU will fall. So this isn't one of those situations where I want to take GU for the sell right now, even though it could play out. Do you understand? That's just, that's just me, okay? But you can do what you want if you feel like, this will give you, the drop, all right? But I would like to see it go a little higher, especially since there's so much imbalance to the upside, right? I would like to get, GU from either this area, potentially this one, but you just never know what you're going to get. We may not ever push up to these areas. We may just push down and continue pushing down. This is where it helps to understand, economic news, or, what's going on fundamentally with the pound, right? To be able to say, okay, this will continue falling or maybe not, all right? But I'm going to leave GU alone until after news, right? When I see what it looks like after news, I'm going to have a better understanding of what it, really wants to do, and then I'll be ready to pull the trigger. All right, guys. So again, after 10 a.m., things will get rocking and rolling. So don't go away too far, right? But get ready, okay? Here on New Zealand dollar, again, same deal. It just pushed up right out the gate because the dollar fell, right? But now we want to see it at the supply area, potentially this one, before it gets, before it drops. So again, you may want to take a buy position now, right? Stop below the low and take it up to that supply area. There's 61 pips on the table for you, okay? And then you turn around right from this supply area, right? Stops a little bit like that. That's 24 pips. And you bring it right back down to the low of the previous week, all right? And you're talking 100 pips, all right? So you made 160 pips, one, buying it, before news, then selling it after news. And then you're like, man, this was easy. I didn't have to trade 100 pairs, right? I didn't have to, be worried that, I had too much going on, right? And, if you happen to be able to put a standard lot on this, which New Zealand dollar has a very low margin, all right? So like what I'm saying is you can probably have $200 to $300 in your account with a broker who gives you leverage of 1 to 500, and you may very well be able to take out a standard lot on New Zealand, right? But what you have to calculate is your stop loss, right? So with this one, it's 18 pips, right? 18 times 10, right? That's 180. So you have $200, $300 in your account, and you're risking $180 of that, right, to make 600. That might be worth it, right? And then on the flip side, this is 24 pips. So that's $240 that you're risking to make almost 1,000. Okay, this kind of scenario may be worth it for you guys, right? But I'm just letting you know, when you understand pips, lot, leverage, margin, all those things that people don't really care about, but they matter the most, right? You can put in the right position, right? Having the right capital, and take advantage of some massive moves. Now, again, I keep saying that, news is going to come out bad for the dollar, but hey, it could come out good for the dollar, right? And then the dollar could just simply rise, right? Okay. And yeah, so you can already see it's kind of, doing a little something. But if the news comes out good, the dollar could just rise, and it can just keep rising to this supply level, right? So with a situation like that, right, the New Zealand dollar could just maybe get here and then just fall, right? But let's just say it's at this supply, and then it falls. It could fall way down, way more. So again, if you have a standard lot, this is a situation, guys, where you can make $1,000 to $2,000 easily off of just one trade. Okay, but we got to see, what plays out in the news first. All right, so we're getting close to the top of the hour on our session. So, without really breaking down too much, guys, I'm going to look to see if there's anything ready at the moment that we can get into, and then from there, we'll call it. All right. So, dollar CAD not quite ready. All right, dollar CHF. Okay. Yeah, we might get a rise, guys. You just never know. All right, gotta wait for news. Yep, and this looks like it's going to tap and then come on up. But again, like I said, you never know. It's really tricky this morning. As far as the majors are concerned, the indices look a little bit more clean cut, but even still, we just want to be patient for afternoons to see what's what. All right, so here's pound odd, and it broke the low, broke the previous week's low, so we may be heading lower, but expect some sort of pullback before we drop even more. All right, but not quite ready just yet. But I will keep an eye out on pound odd. Okay, pound CAD not ready. Not ready on pound CHF. We want to see it down here to buy it up, or we want to see it here or here to sell it. Okay, pound JPY, man oh man, team caught over 100 pips on it right out the gate. All right, getting ready to hit that demand level and possibly rise from there, but not ready yet. Okay, pound New Zealand looks pretty promising. Okay, very mixy at the moment, but I think we're still going to get a drop on pound New Zealand. Not ready just yet. Okay, silver has finally dropped, and yeah, it could continue dropping. So guys, put silver on your radar. bit of imbalance here, right? Broke the previous week's high, but then it fell to get higher after this. So coming back down, yeah, there's potential for it to keep falling, but I think we're going to see a push up and then we'll see it fall. All right, so be careful on silver. All right, gold also broke the previous week's high. All right, and it's at, or at least it's made this new high, and you can see that major drop, but it's still in bullish structure. So it's not too enticing for the sell just yet, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on because we may push up to this supply and then we may get a drop from there. All right, guys, so keep an eye on gold. All right, this was natural gas, and I call this for the week exactly how I said it. It played out. I said we'll probably get the buy, push up to supply first, and also thought, you know, we can break above this because of the liquidity, so we can keep pushing up and then get to this supply before we drop. But so far, right out the gate, it has done exactly what I stated it would. All right, so potential for a sell here, but I think we're still going to rise a little bit more, so be careful selling silver, natural gas just right now. You know, look for price to kind of come back below these lows, and if so, then that may be a better opportunity to sell it. But I would like to see it go higher to this supply level before before I sell it. So just letting you guys know. All right, here. Okay, here we go. Oil. It's ready to rock and roll, guys. I'm taking this. Let's get down to the 1 hour. All right, I see nice rejection of a major demand. And again, this was the sell position that I thought out the week we were going to push up to the supply and then drop. But again, it just dropped, right? So this is, again, how I know what I know, because I see the before and the after, right? And I understand what the possibilities are. So right now, we need to buy oil. Okay. Any day now. Come on. All right, there we go. And stops right below the low, up to supply. Okay, here is our position on oil, and here is the play, ladies and gents. Again, hit that like and subscribe button for me. US oil, let's say market buy now. Your entry is going to be 62.57. Stop is going to be 61.76. Okay, TP is going to be 66.11. All right, and that is a $3 move on oil. So we're talking 300 pips to the upside, guys, potentially more, because we can go and break above last week's high. All right, and if we look at this from a higher time frame, all right, yeah, this is very, very possible, right? Plenty of imbalance here, plenty of imbalance here, plenty of imbalance here. So we can easily break above this high and just keep rising on oil. All right, guys, but I like it because we're at a low, we're at a major demand level. When we look left, last time we were here, we took off for $4 move, so 400 pips, and it took 3 days, roughly. All right, so we can see that in the same amount of time or less. All right, now granted, this is without confirmation, right? So what I mean is that price would need to break above this high right here, right, to let us know that it officially wants to start going higher, right? I'm just banking on this major demand level letting us know that price wants to go higher, right? But it is unconfirmed. So if you want more of a confirmed entry, please wait for price to break above this high, pull back to a point of interest, either demand or fair value gap, and then again wait for more bulls to show up. And then at that point, you'll have a confirmed, right, entry, because price showed you when it broke this high that it wanted to continue going higher. All right, but guess what? You'll be pretty much around the same entry point that we are now. All right, so just letting you guys know that, right? Sometimes you want to wait, and sometimes you don't. All right, in this case, I like the structure, and I don't want to wait, so I'm going to take the trade unconfirmed. All right, but guys, any questions, comments, concerns, anything whatsoever? All right, going once, going twice. All right, ladies and gents, we are out of here. So again, please wait until after news to make your move. All right, and if you want to, see how my team is going to go about things this morning as well as the rest of the week, please visit me at www.forexwithbain.com and tap for the link for the Discord. Right, get on in there and get with the winners. All right, but guys, tomorrow I'll be live and Thursday I will be live. So tap back in, and we'll have better setups because it is the middle of the week, more heavy economic news, and price would have obviously given us more structure to go off of that we can capitalize from. All right. But in the meantime, in between time, hope y'all have a great morning. Thank you for checking in with me, and see you guys tomorrow. All right. Peace.